And welcome back to the Under the Table podcast. Today I am joined with Striker again and our old buddy Chunk. How you doing?
I am here.
You forgot how to talk there for a
I
moment.
I guess. I think if anything, I was just caught off by you calling me Chunk, and I was just like, oh, I guess that is me.
That is you. That is your name.
Sure. For other people who would not like to call me Chunk, I also go by Chance, and that is me.
He also answers to Chunk Lord.
I guess.
You don't like that?
I'll answer to whatever the fuck you call me.
There we go. See, it's great. Striker, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. It's been a fine, dandy day. It's kind of cold out though. But yeah,
It's like it's
doing
winter
all
or
right.
something.
It is winter, you are right. There's like no snow, but it is cold as the Arctic. So,
Is it really? Because it's like 50, 60 degrees here.
the other day, it's weird. Maine, for some reason, has been shifting a lot. Where the other day it was like almost 60, and now today, I mean, a lot of it could just be because of the fact it's windy, so it feels colder than it is. But like right now, I think it's like in the almost like teens or something.
Hmm.
That's not Arctic. I mean, Arctic's like negative, but you know.
I was talking to a person who like lives like way down south, and they're like,
Mhm.
"You're gonna go like eat outside?" I was like, "No, it's winter." It's like, what do you? It's winter. We don't. It's not summer. We don't have summer weather right now in
Yeah,
the winter.
I mean, hell,
yeah, that
if it was like warm enough to eat outside, I still fucking wouldn't.
You don't want to eat outside.
Oh God, no. There's like bugs.
I was gonna say that. It's the bugs.
There are
How
bugs.
how bad is your mosquitoes in the summer?
Pretty,
Oh, they
pretty.
get pretty bad because it's really humid. We have really humid summers.
We
Yeah.
do too. Like the summers on average are like humid on 90%, essentially, like throughout the all 3 months of summer, and then we go back to winter pretty much.
I
There's no such
hate
thing as fall.
I hate humidity because it doesn't make any goddamn sense. So like the way they measure humidity is relative to the actual temperature outside. So like 30% humidity in the winter is different than 30% humidity in the summer. It's like you can't
Huh.
compare the two because it's about the way that you measure humidity is how much water the air can hold. So in the winter, because it's colder, like the air can hold far less water than it normally would be as opposed to the summer. So
Mhm.
yeah, 30% humidity in the winter and summer is just not the same thing, and it's like that makes this entire metric completely useless and not helpful for anything. And I hate it, and I think that we should call somebody about
Well, complain to the government.
it. I'll make sure to do
'Cause
that.
you'll have to line up with a lot of people though.
There'll be a
Um,
really long line.
Dear
it will.
Mr. Biden, what the heck is this humidity shit, huh?
It's a conspiracy. That's gonna be the new podcast. Is weather conspiracies.
Well, that's good. You know, I have Freemason family, and
So do
so do
I.
you, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. We can start from there. We can crack open that can of worms and reveal everything.
My experience with Freemasons was I shot a short film in the house of a Freemason, and it was filled with racist memorabilia, and guns were everywhere.
Well, I can't say that represents all Masons, but you know, I guess that's your experience.
Are we gonna make
I
like
I opened a cabinet to get a plate out of it, and sitting upon the stack of plates was a loaded Glock.
Interesting.
okay?
You know what hey, look, everyone has a different diet, and we can't judge everyone. I mean, there's that dude that eats like cars. I don't know if he's still alive, but you know.
Yeah,
Oh, the
it was
car.
a fun film shoot though.
Is that the guy who ate the airplanes?
I think so.
Cool.
Don't quote me on it.
I'm quoting you on it. He's in the
All
Guinness
right.
Book of World Records. We could literally just like look this up if we actually wanted to know.
Oh, I know, but I'm gonna leave it in mystery and see if we ever heads up our asses on this one.
We'd rather be just fucking blissfully ignorant.
I think that's a great plan.
It is.
So
I mean,
today we do
our-
have a vague topic. Um, we're gonna talk about video games for once. We never do that. Imagine having a video game podcast that we actually talk about video games. So
It's going to take 5 hours to talk about what I've been doing in the past 9 months.
what have you been doing for the past 9 months?
I'm glad this is the topic we're switching to.
He's been doing nothing. He's been playing video games
I
sometimes.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And board games.
Out of our like general group of friends, I am probably the most classified as gamer. Considering I work at a board game store, I play multitudes of video games, board games, card games, whatever. So yeah, I've literally just been playing games.
I am I'm just a video gamer. I haven't played a ton more video games though. I think I mentioned last week I got into Valorant. I don't know why it's clicking with me. And I don't mean clicking like I'm good at it. I just like the game. I'm awful at it. It's like I'm god awful at it, but
I've never
really
seen
enjoying
someone
it.
miss so many shots when someone's standing still and has their back turned.
Yeah, no, I'm very bad. See, look, I'm not saying that like it's the game's fault because it's totally me, but also, sometimes bullets literally just don't go where you aim in like these tac shooters, and that's wild. Like I was watching a video because they were talking about so there's the first bullet like accuracy. So like when you're standing still and you fire off that first shot, it's the accuracy of that round. And sometimes with like the best rifle in the game, that first shot can just miss. It can just do that. And you could be dead on with your with your crosshairs and you can just miss. It'll just go away. So
Now,
that's fun.
now, the question is that first shot just, spook them, maybe cause them to drop their controller, have a heart attack, and, you win that way? Or, it's just good old-fashioned bullets don't go where you're going because you can't aim for shit. But, I can't really say much because I suck at shooters. I mean, my only experience really with shooters has been Rockstar games, which I wouldn't even really call shooters.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. And then like Call of Duty and some Battlefield, essentially is. I mean, I played Payday quite a bit years ago, so I guess
didn't like
that
Payday. I
the
don't
new
like the
one or just in general.
I don't like the way it feels. It feels weird. Like the gunplay doesn't feel good. I never liked the way Payday feels. But yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. Like it's weird. It's a fun game. Bullets don't go where you aim. I mean, most of the time it's totally my fault, but it is a weird mechanic to get used to. So just like, hey, when you're being shot at, stop moving just all together. But then also move. But not when you're shooting ever at the same time. It's like it's like okay. I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with this, but I'll figure it out eventually. I just got up to the point where I can do ranked matches, and I am not ready for it. So I'm just doing a bunch of deathmatch. Maybe I'll edit together a video of me getting killed a lot. Because I definitely
Mateo,
don't get kills. What?
I think, in the great words of our friend Max, you need to get good. And another thing, pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. The great old saying, you just need to work harder.
The great old
And-
saying that was put out so that you could make fun of people who try to do everything by themselves.
I know. It's British, proper. It's a British joke.
I think you should just give up.
You should give up, honestly.
Words of advice for anyone who's like struggling through life, and like not even joking. And this isn't supposed to be negative. It's actually very positive. I'm just not going to explain it. But give up on your dreams. So yeah. Looter shooters. So recently a video game came out, and I hope it spells...
You can't use that as a transition. What was that? What type of topic transition?
The transition is that video game
That was
publishers
like-
should give up on their dreams because they keep releasing these god-awful looter shooters and ruining really good franchises.
Yeah, I know. Look, that was the like, and I'm horrible at transitions, just in like from topic to topic in conversation, where we'll be talking about something and I'll say, just like this or in a similar fashion, and then I'll even point out the fact that it has nothing to do with what the hell I'm talking about. I'll
That's
just
called
switch
lampshading.
topics. Yeah, I know. It's horrible. I do it all the time. But holy shit, that was a car crash, Mateo. Like, but it was good. I'll give you a clap, even though the mic's not gonna pick it up. So what were you saying about looter shooters or whatever the shit is?
Yeah, let's skip over the fact that Mateo just said, "Hey, God's dead." Anyway,
Look, we don't want to focus on that too much because we're
I
trying to
can't
get
give
a jump
everyone
start
all the
here.
answers. I can't give everyone all the answers.
So what you're saying is you're not omnipotent. You're not.
I never said I was.
Father of the. I'm just asking. I'm putting it out
Nah.
there.
how the hell did you just pronounce that word?
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent?
Look, there's Jesus. Look, for the longest time I could not pronounce calcium right, and I would say calcium, which is obviously not the first example of this. Just like Nestle or
Yep.
Nestle. Bring that back. I can't. For someone that is supposedly a good writer and a good reader, I can't talk, and I am learning a foreign language right now. I can't speak English. Jesus, I can't speak English correctly, and I'm trying to learn a foreign language. I am jumping. I'm not even like going through the right steps to get there. I'm just jumping them. I'm breaking through the fucking wall and completely avoiding the steps to get there. Just blissfully without acknowledging anything around me and just going about life. I mean, that's how you should do it, obviously. But yeah, I'm illiterate, and I can't speak. So that's the main topic today, is talk about how I can't do that.
Listen, my favorite thing is to call out every single time that you just pronounce something absolutely like in the most buck wild way possible. So like that is just my personal like favorite thing to do. So we can continue on now that I've pointed that out.
Yeah, no, we could. I mean, we could do that. Man, transitions. We're gonna be the greatest podcast. We're gonna win like all the streamies and like the podcast awards. It'll be great.
We're literally doing a Midwest goodbye, but as a transition.
Let's go.
I'm not even from the Midwest.
No,
so I don't know what
that's
to say
not-
about that.
That's not. No, that's not a mid. It's an Irish goodbye.
I thought the Irish goodbye was when you just fucking leave without saying anything.
Is that? I thought a Midwest goodbye was where you just
No,
don't
the-
ever stop.
The Midwest
the-
goodbye is you keep saying goodbye 50 times, but then you start up new conversations.
Yeah.
and you're still
Okay.
Walking
yeah.
towards the door.
How,
Yeah, that's
how
just
very
my
French
experience.
Canadian of you. Yeah, I know all those Frenchies out there.
Well, that was the thing he said. So
That's okay.
Kill the
It's
Justice
okay to say-
League. Kill the Justice League came out, made by Rocksteady, and we've all played the Batman games,
Yeah.
and we've all played Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Like the PlayStation games. They're not made by the same people. But what I'm getting at is Rocksteady made this little indie game called Batman Arkham Asylum. And it was followed up by a few other games that, they did okay, I guess. They weren't anything major. But they kind of set the standard, right? For like a licensed superhero game. I mean, the combat in that game was so touted that it just became the combat for every action game ever going forward, right? For years until Assassin's Creed decided to like turn itself into an RPG. And so after the third game, Arkham Knight, which had the worst twist reveal ever, and way too much Batmobile.
It
They
wasn't a twist. Everyone knew. Even Bruce knew.
uh, and after that, we was like, man, when's the next Rocksteady Batman game gonna where's the next Rocksteady game? And they said, we're doing it. We're making a new one. It's gonna be in the same universe. It's super exciting. After the disappointment that was Gotham Knights, another looter, not a shooter, but another looter.
Well, and if you don't mind me interrupting,
Go ahead.
Gotham Knights, which is made obviously by a different developer.
Yes, and not in the
and
Arkham
stuff.
universe.
It's not, but it's weird because the way they have the game start is how Arkham Knight ends.
Yeah, spoilers for Arkham Knight, but like whatever.
Yeah, it's very confusing for those that aren't familiar with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the trailer first came out, everyone assumed that it was a Rocksteady game.
Well, you know, they both came out at the same time. So they announced that one, then they announced what our main topic today is, which is Kill the Justice League, Suicide Squad. Which seems really exciting. I'd be into it. And then we saw the trailer, and there were an odd amount of guns in the game. But it's like, it's okay. It's in, you know, the Arkham universe. It's Rocksteady. They didn't let us down with the last 3 games. We don't talk about the Batmobile. Surely they got this. And then the game comes out. Well, we kind of knew it going in if you saw any of the trailers, but the game came out. It's kind of hot garbage.
I don't know about kinda. I think you're being very generous.
I hear the
It
game
is-
plays okay. Like some people
It's-
like to like run around.
It's okay, I guess. But I mean, like, even from like a character sense, like, I forget, is Captain Boomerang one of the characters in it?
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't have a boomerang.
That is
They
true.
gave him a fucking they gave him a fucking like M16 or like some pistols or some
Everyone
shit.
has
and said, "Here you
everyone
go."
has like King Shark just like runs around with a minigun.
I mean, they're pretty much treating him like Heavy from Team Fortress. Um, but
Running
no,
around looking
it
for a
didn't make any
sandwich.
sense. And then people were fucking furious with the way they killed off Batman in the game. I think he's like, from what I read, he's like the first boss, I think,
Is he?
in the game. Yeah, I'm pretty, because Superman's the last one they killed. He gets knocked off really early and in such like a disrespectful way where Harley Quinn just says a one-liner and just fucking domes him on a park bench, and the park bench falls over and Batman's just dead.
I don't care about like that they killed Batman. What I care about is like what that means, and it didn't mean anything. And I'm not saying it's like you have to. No, it's like go ahead, kill whoever you want. That's cool, right? Like no one is.
I mean, it's the title, so yeah.
Right? Yeah, like no one's impervious to it. But like, especially for like Harley Quinn, right? That should mean something to her. There's like several games, like they have history. Right, she's had such major arcs in the Arkham games, you know, like major like story development, things happening. Like Batman and Harley have history, and just nothing. Boom, you know, dumb joke. Move on. And like, there's a lot of problems with the game, right? From like the story being lackluster, to the mission design being just awful, to like the gunplay just being boring and repetitive. I would say like, here's the question. Not so much like what's wrong with the game. We know what's wrong with the game. There's a lot wrong with the game. Will this kill the looter shooter? Like, are we gonna stop getting every single game trying to come out and be a looter? Because we have this game, we had Avengers, which was a looter. We had I can't think of it. I know there's more. Someone help me.
Um, like I said, I honestly don't. I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to think of
Um,
other games that are
I
looters.
so to answer your question, I don't think looters will die out, or they'll move specifically away from it. I think it might die out for like the superhero genre for video games. I don't
We had
I don't
Anthem. Anthem wanted to try to be a looter, but it wasn't really much of anything.
no, it wasn't. I wouldn't even call it something. It was just default. It just existed. I don't know.
God, the
I don't
flying
know.
was so
So
good in that game.
yeah, you were very excited about it.
The flying was good. It almost bricked my PlayStation.
Hmm.
It wasn't very good. But Chance, I want to hear from you as someone who like loves looters.
Mhm.
Are you sick of looters?
Um,
Every game, like every friend, like RuneScape tomorrow comes out with a new patch and it's a looter.
I mean, RuneScape's already kind of a
That was
looter
a bad example, but
yeah, like so the way I see it is, yeah, a lot of games are implementing in looter mechanics because it's a very easy way of making like level progression essentially. Like you give this gun that has deals higher numbers of damage and that kind of stuff to the point where you can then amp up like the difficulty by making enemies like take more damage but your guns deal more damage and thus you're progressing it a bit. Um, I think it's just kind of an easy way for some of these games where, like, so with Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, um, the way I see them using this kind of like looter shooter thing with it was, okay, we made this game, but it doesn't feel like you're progressing. It's just like if they didn't have this looter shooter subgenre kind of in their game, what would the progression be? It would just be go through the story, done,
well, do
kind
you
of
feel
thing.
that way with the other Arkham games?
That's the thing is they should have made if they were going to make a Suicide Squad game, I feel like they probably should have made it like the Arkham games or something like that where it's not a looter, it is you're going around, you're fighting enemies. Um and your progression is like, yeah, maybe you get some new equipment with new abilities that allow you to do different things, or if they want to do a leveling thing to then allow you to spend skill points to unlock abilities. That's fine, but like tying your leveling and like progression to equipment, that's kind of the looter thing, to which the previous Arkham games don't do.
Yeah,
Um,
and it just
and
kind of like throws you on this treadmill, right?
exactly. And the way looters actually like make you feel good. Like I love a good looter. Like the Borderlands series is some of my favorites. I played the Division 2 to death. All that kind of thing. The way you make looters feel good is by having the loot feel not only impactful through like numbers, but impactful through like visuals, sounds, how they feel to fire. Like having all of that meld is what makes a good looter. Like you pick up a new gun in Borderlands, it's going to have different attachments on it compared to your other stuff. It's going to fire weird and each one just kind of has its own unique feeling.
Like it kind of
Um
changes the game. Like you pick up a new
exactly.
right. It's not just like okay, well, here's another SMG. It's just like the other SMG, but this one's purple.
Exactly. That's where the lazier like looter design comes in, into which I'm not necessarily like opposed to it as long as like the game itself feels good. So like a looter shooter that I have played where I don't think the actual guns and loot that you were getting was all that great, but like there were other aspects of the gameplay that felt fun was Outriders.
I loved Outriders. I just
Outriders
kind of hard
has
stopped it, no particular reason, but
yeah, like Outriders, it wasn't a fantastic game, but it had this really aggressive gameplay where it was like your only way of healing is by getting kills and doing your abilities. So like you were really aggressive in that game, which made it fun and like a little bit exhilarating, especially when you crank up difficulties as the world tiers like progress. Um, and so it's like that's what kept me going at least. But if like it didn't have that, the loot itself was boring.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, it's
not
just
gonna.
right. It's just another gun. Here's I guess like a follow up question to that, right? Is it like kind of the assumption with the looter shooter, right?
Mhm.
Especially with like the new games, and we can blame Destiny for this. Uh, is that if you have a looter shooter, it needs to be a live service game,
No.
and I think that's kind of where the right where the crux is, right? So when we think of the ones that have failed, right, we think of we I mean, let's just keep it superheroes. We have Avengers, and we have Kill the Justice League. It's like, and you're gonna be playing this for the rest of your life.
Yeah. No. Um, the games that make it a live service thing, like there's very few that have done it that I would say are like successful.
Right? There's like two,
Um,
right? Like,
like it's pretty much like Destiny
and sometimes
and
Division when they remember to update it.
Division when they
Warframe.
updated it. Warframe.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so it's
Warframe's
like
just trucking along.
otherwise I'd say the other ones that like make it really successful, um, a lot of them I've noticed are roguelites, in a sense where uh, you're gonna do like different run throughs. You can be
Mhm.
looting up a bunch of weapons, that type of thing, but then you die. Okay, you start from the beginning again and you play it more, and you find different guns and that type of thing. There's been a lot of games that are considered looter shooters that are in that roguelike genre. A couple being like Gunfire Reborn. RoboQuest is one that's come out fairly recently. Um, in a sense, a little bit. Deep Rock Galactic is like a slight looter shooter, um, except it's more like get materials to
In a
upgrade
lot of
stuff. But that's
ways, it's
also
kind of like Monster Hunter, isn't it?
a little bit. It's Monster Hunter, but in terms of comparing it to another looter shooter, I think it honestly weighs a bit more towards like the Warframe style of like you're doing these missions, and you get these parts that you then build your
Yeah, you're
equipment.
like grinding out these materials and core parts. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like the way I see it is it's like you have kind of like these three oh another looter shooter that did the roguelite thing, Risk of Rain 2. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but pretty much the way I see it is you have these three kind of subgenres of looter shooters where you have the narrative story progressed looter shooters where your weapons are kind of like a soft leveling thing. You might also have like an actual leveling system, but your weapons are nonetheless the way you're gaining your levels. That would be like Borderlands, Outriders, that type of thing.
Uh, d- uh,
Um,
Isn't um
Remnant
isn't
is kind of like
Remnant?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Remnant, in a sense, yeah, Remnant can be considered kind of a looter shooter.
I would say it's kind of like the games that are like more in tune with like OG looters. So I'm talking like ARPGs, right? Your Diablos,
Yeah.
Torchlight, stuff like that.
Exactly. Those would fit into the more narrative-based thing where it's like you're following a story progression and your loot is kind of a
Well,
soft
shoot,
leveling.
even Diablo's a live service game now, though.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean,
it
Diablo's always
kind
kind of been like an MMO by yourself, though.
a little bit because I mean, even with Diablo 3, you had seasons and that type of stuff,
Yeah.
which it's whatever. Um, then you have your live service games where they're like slight MMOs, like Warframe, Destiny, and it's just like they're gonna go on forever practically as long as they like keep getting updates. Uh, I guess Division 2 would kind of fit both of the like story progression and the live service because they do a little bit of both. Um, but it all depends on how many updates they get and if the game itself is replayable enough to keep you coming back.
I think that's the thing
Um,
is like what makes a game because that's what made me quit Destiny, right? So like I played through the story at the time because I played both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. I played through the story. I went and did like the strikes. I got my first exotic, and then I was like, well, now what? Right? It's like, yeah, there's like the raid and stuff, so there's that. But it's like, well, now what? It's like, well, now you go do it again for a stronger exotic. Like it's weird because it's literally the Monster Hunter formula, except it's good with Monster Hunter, right? People that circular loop is fun with Monster Hunter, but like I could never find the reason. Like, why am I going to do the same every day? I'm gonna log on and do my strikes. I'm gonna spend 20 minutes doing my strikes to get
I mean,
the same weapon I have now, so I can shoot the same enemy later, but with a bigger number. But I'm not doing anything different.
Draw of that either. So
Yeah,
Isn't that exactly what you do in your gacha games?
it is. But the okay, that's a fair point. The main difference with me grinding out in like, because I've been playing Honkai Star Rail and Genshin, but I haven't touched Genshin in a while, is that the amount of effort I'm putting in to do my dailies on like Star Rail, for example, is literally like 2 minutes. I spend like 2 to 4 minutes a day doing my dailies, and then I am like, I'm not grinding, and I'm also not grinding out to be able to do the same content harder. I'm grinding out to be able to do the new content, which is harder. Like, I need to get stronger in order, so it's just RPG stuff. I need to be stronger in order to progress through the story. But then also the effort I'm putting in for those dailies is just so low. That's like, cool, I can just knock this out real quick. As opposed to Destiny, which is like, oh, I need to commit 20 minutes to these strikes, and then another 30 minutes to doing the commissions, and then unless you just are super cracked at it, raids are going to take like 40 minutes. So like,
I remember
Go ahead.
remember you used to spend quite a bit of time doing the dailies on Red Dead Redemption Online.
yeah.
And then you quit because something you were pissed about.
What I couldn't play with Chance, because every time Chance plays a video game, he breaks the damn thing.
yeah.
Well, I mean, none of us could play with Chance. That was just a general thing.
But also, I mean, there's no reason that like we were doing the dailies, right, and spending in time doing the dailies because we needed the money. Also, they were fairly varied because you got to pick which ones you wanted to do and stuff like that. With Destiny, it's like, here are your raids. I mean, here are your strikes. This is how they are.
Yeah.
There was enough variety in Red Dead, but also I was working towards something, right? And then they just never did anything. They
Well,
never
that's
released
just Rockstar,
content.
and if it's not GTA, Rockstar didn't give a shit.
You say it as if Rockstar has released a game at all in the last 15 years.
Yes, but I'm just saying in comparison
You remember
with GTA
Bully?
5, yes, I do. And people want a second one. They probably shouldn't make a second one.
I want a Bully.
I know. I've never played it. I want to play it.
It's just GTA but kids.
I know. It's on the PlayStation Store, I think, for
It
like
doesn't
$5.
hold up very well.
I would assume not.
It does not hold up. But yeah, so I mean, so I think it's the whole live service thing. And I think what's happening is, and Chance, let me know if you agree with this, is that we had games like Destiny and stuff come out, right? We have like the Fortnites and Apex and stuff just like explode out into the scenes. But video games take a really long time to make, right? And they're very expensive. Right? We're talking like 5, 6, or more development cycles. So here you are, you're a developer, or I guess really in the case you're a publisher, and you're like, man, this Destiny thing is doing great. We should do that. But it takes you 7 years to build the game. So you're building this video game based off of something that by the time your game comes out is almost 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah, of course it's not going to be current or feel good, like a whole set of things. But like, I just really, I'm hoping that like this continued like live service, like failure basically is going to like kind of kill the live service game, because I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of every game being, this is the last game that you'll ever play ever. I would like
I'm
to play a 10-hour game and be done.
I don't think it's going to be the end of it necessarily. Just
EA.
because like as it goes, like live service games, like the reason companies make them is because it's like, hey, we're gonna release this game, put out these updates every now and people are still gonna keep playing it. We're still gonna make money because, of course, like these updates aren't gonna be free or something, or they might be free, but you're gonna release these new skins that people will buy and that type of thing. And so, like, in terms of a business aspect, it is a really good deal. Like, you make one game and then you just keep updating it for a couple of years and it just keeps bringing in money. Whereas like any other game that has a definite end, you have your players and then they're done and that's it. You've earned your money at the door, but there's no more money
There's
is
no
going to be
tail,
coming
right?
in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think from a business perspective, the live service thing definitely benefits them because then instead of having to focus on putting all your focus on this project, on this game you're trying to create, you can kind of release like a foundation of it, and then players can start playing it. You know, they'll have a server's problems probably, and then you can kind of build it from there while you're earning cash without having to spend so much time building that whole house. You can just release the foundation of it and just add stuff
Was
as you
it
go.
was it Miyamoto or what's his face who did Smash Brothers, who said that like what was it? Like I can't remember the quote, but basically like release your game and make it not broken because like a broken game is broken forever, right? And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
the internet exists now, and you can just release a shit ass game and it's okay. I mean, like, look, I love the stories of like games like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a fantastic game now. It is great. And they have this. It's a totally different game. They're constantly putting out updates. They sell this game 50%. You always know when a new update's going to come off because the game goes on sale for 50% off. But and all this has been free. Like, and it has been such a success story. The problem is that is also just kind of become the thing, right? It's like, oh, it's okay. This will be good in 2 years. It's like, we release a game that's like good now? Like, can it come out and be good? And it is just one of those things. Well, like you said, it does make money, but I think the problem with the live service game is that it has to be popular and it has to be supported, right?
Yeah.
And it's killed studios.
That ultimately comes down to just like, okay, when you release your game, it has to be good. It has to have some sort of draw to it. Like the reason Fortnite has lasted so long is the gameplay is fun. Like people enjoy it.
And they completely abandoned the other half of it, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, but people didn't like that part. So it's like, why support the part that people didn't like when you have a part that people enjoy? And
I
you
was
keep
so
updating that?
excited
I
for
know
that
you
game.
were, bud.
I mean, not like
Which
the
game?
biggest, Fortnite.
Like
Oh.
the defend your base Fortnite.
Was it
one.
Save the World or something like that?
Save the world, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't even
'Cause-
think it's in the
'cause now
game
they-
anymore, right? You can't even play it at all anymore.
You
Because
might
now they-
be able to in the Fortnite sandbox, whatever the fuck it is, where they put Rock
I mean-
Band in.
Fortnite's pretty much just a sandbox at this point. It's kind of
Fortnite is Fortnite is kind of the perfect game, and I don't mean like it's perfect as in like it's my favorite game because I literally don't play the game. But like as far as like what is a video game and like all the different elements and everything, it like Fortnite encapsulates my entire experience with Halo 3 in early Xbox Live days. Like you talk to anyone who's old enough to have like been on Xbox Live back in the day, right? That
Yeah, I
was
was.
like the internet, right? You could get onto Netflix, and remember Netflix had the watch party, and you could like watch with your friends. You had like all the indie arcade games. Like it was such a social and cool experience. And Fortnite is that now. I'm just I'm old and crotchety and refuse to play it. But yeah, Fortnite's
Yeah.
kind of like that perfect game. But I don't know, the live service games are like a lot and everything requires so much of your time and energy, and you have to grind this out, and you have to play this every day, and you don't want to miss out on that. And it's just this endless, repeatable content, and it
I
never.
mean, I okay. I'm gonna play a slight, not even really play devil's advocate here. I'm just gonna kind of call you out. The way I see it is you have these live service games. There are the people who will get on them and play out their dailies every single day and like dedicate their lives to it. Then you also have people like me where when I played Destiny, I played Destiny 2 and I played it a good amount. I never did my dailies. I just got on and played.
Mhm.
And yeah, sometimes it was playing with friends who were doing dailies and thus by proxy I did my dailies. Um, but it was literally I just got on whenever I was like, oh, there's new content, cool, let me get on, and I played it. Um, and I never grinded in that game, like not once. Um, I would get on, I would play with friends when they were doing their thing. Otherwise, I'd get on like multiplayer and like play around in that. Um, to the point where I think it's like with there are definitely some live service games where it's like, yeah, if you don't get on and do your dailies, that type of thing, you're going to fall behind, and thus when the new content comes out, you're not able to play it. Um, More in lines of when you were trying to get me to play the Avengers, and you're like, hey, play the Avengers because then I will feel the required to like grind and thus play the content with you. And honestly, that sounded like fucking hell to me. But
Well, so that's right. That's what happened with me in Avengers. So I played through Avengers. I liked the game, like for what it was, and playing just through the like campaign. I thought it was great, but also I didn't do any of the grind and any of that. So I beat the main story and literally could not do any of the DLC story because I ended the game at like maybe like but somewhere between 50 and 100 power level, and you needed to be like 400 power level to do the first DLC mission.
yeah, and that's the thing is it's like there are some that are like that, and it's you're either going to enjoy the game so much that just playing the content to grind up to that level is going to be enjoyable, but then you also have the ones where it's not, and you just don't, and thus you don't play the new content. Um, but it's like with a lot of games, that's just how it is there will be the group that will do it and will grind and play it because they enjoy it, but then there will be the groups like me where it's like, yeah, I'll play the new content when it comes out, and if I can't play the new content because I haven't grinded enough, then I'll probably say fuck it and go play something else. um I don't Whenever a live service game comes out, I don't feel like the company is putting a gun to my head and saying play our game forever now. I play it however much I feel like, and then I move on.
I definitely feel that way, and like I feel like I'm being forced to play the thing because I feel like the systems are designed around it, even down to like the mission design. So I mean, you know, you know how I feel about like open world stuff, and I like open world games, but I said it about Borderlands, right? I say it all the time about The Division. My favorite missions are the ones where we go inside
Yeah.
because it is structured. They can like set up things how they want you to see it, right? The game designers get to design a game as opposed to this is an open area and it just kind of needs to be able to accommodate whatever might happen. You know, so you just end up running to a place, shooting the people, and then running to the next place, shooting the people, running to the next place, and it's all the same. And
Yeah.
I like that curated, because like that's kind of the cool part about it, right? Is that, oh man, you're doing this thing, and then you get to do the cool thing, and it happened in Halo Infinite. I liked that Halo Infinite was semi-open world, but overall the mission design was weaker because they couldn't force you to kind of work through these paths to have these certain encounters. The closest thing to a Warthog run, you get a tank once, but it's so open that it just kind of isn't a thing. Like, it's just too open-ended. And Halo's always been an open-ended kind of shooter. Like, they always drop you into these big maps where you can kind of tackle it in every way. But it was just so big that it just kind of, I guess, do whatever. And
mean,
everything has to be viable.
I definitely agree that like yeah, more designed level is going to be better than just oh we're going to drop you in an open area with a bunch of enemies, just figure it out. Um, but also it's another thing of like so I'm going to look at the Division 2 because this was a game we both played together a ton. Um, I definitely played it way more than you, but nonetheless we still pulled through and did
Yeah,
all
I mean, yeah, well, I put
together.
like maybe 30, 40 hours or something into it, so.
I
I
put
put way
30
more.
minutes.
You sure did.
I sure did.
Yeah, because
But
you have this great thing where you play a game, refuse to do the tutorial, and be like, I'm not having fun because I don't know what's going on. So you didn't learn how to play the game.
I know. It's like what the hell was that game that I couldn't beat the tutorial?
every single one.
Not every single one.
Kind of.
Look,
Uh,
look. My
uh,
skills at gaming aren't as good as they used to be.
Extraction. It was Rainbow Six Extraction.
Extraction. Well, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
I think it does, but
No.
nonetheless,
Yeah, what were you saying?
the Division 2.
Yeah.
I think yes, when you go into a building and there are these like very well designed levels, like that was when the game shined. That was when it was like, oh, we're into it. We're really doing the thing. And for me, I enjoyed the Division. I thought the gunplay was nice. I thought the AI was fun to like kind of interact with and see what they did, and I liked popping off the abilities and doing that type of thing. So I just enjoyed playing it. To which I'm I'm very much the kind of person with the games where I'm like I am not opposed to running around doing mindless content and just like throwing a podcast on and just chilling while I do this like mindless content. To which yeah, Division, I enjoyed the gameplay enough. I definitely did that. Like I think I did every single little like thing you could do in the open world where it was like go to this base, kill these enemies, capture it, that type of thing.
I definitely
Um,
did that. I mean, not to that extent. I think mine's just like, there's just so many of them.
yeah,
I
there's
can't
a
have
ton.
this like, I can't, and I don't mean like I mean like video games. Like every game is a run around and do stuff.
Yeah,
Right? It's the whole Ubisoft problem, right? Where they like make an open world game and they just fill up the map with things to collect. It's like it's too much.
but it all depends on do I enjoy playing this game? Period. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I go and play an Assassin's Creed game, I'm not like, oh, I gotta get every single feather. Like, no, I don't give a
No,
shit.
but I
I'm
also
just gonna
think
play
that
the
like
game.
I would like to be able to play a game, get a full experience, and like go to another game. But then
Yeah, and I
some of these games I play them, I get the experience, right? Like we've all played games where we play it for a few hours and you're like, okay, I feel like I've gotten everything that the game has to offer. But
oh yeah,
that I don't feel like I have played a full experience. I just feel like that's all it has to show me.
yeah.
Right? It's
And I
like,
mean,
Mm.
that's the main thing with games is like they have to prove their worth of like hey, we're gonna do this thing, and if you enjoy it, you can stick around, kind of thing. To which, not every game can do that. And it makes it harder when these games are like, hey, all this like boring content that you don't really necessarily enjoy, you have to do it in order to enjoy the cool content. Like, that's when I say like, yeah, a game kind of fails. Like
mm-hmm.
with the Division 2, you can go and just play the story. That is totally allowed and you'll be fine and have a great time. But in Marvel's Avengers, you can't just beeline the story. You do have to grind if you
Yeah,
want to play the other content,
yeah.
which is like, yeah, I think that in terms of like a game design, I think that fails.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. I only time will tell, but I do think we're going to start seeing less of these like looter live service games in every single franchise. Like Killer Justice League was a game that should have done well. It was made by people who knew what they were doing, right? It was a property that was popular, but not so popular that they couldn't do something weird or wacky with it, right? It's Suicide Squad. Like, yeah, the movies came out and the second one was pretty good, but for the most part, Suicide Squad is like, okay, no one cares or knows who Captain Boomerang is. Like, do whatever you want with him. It was a perfect time to do it, which is also why they chose that to make, their looter out. I was like, well, if we fuck this up, at least it was like B tier characters. Um, except for Harley Quinn, she'll sell it. She'll sell all of it. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. We'll figure out if video games was just ruined because video games are so bad now and everything was better in the past. I don't believe that. We do have more video games now though, so there's a higher just flat number of bad video games. But video games are as great as they've ever been. Spider-Man 2 was great. Made me very happy. I love that game. What about you guys? Any other remarks?
In regards to the like whole like open world free roam type thing,
Yeah.
um, in a sense at this point, I would say open world is becoming like the default like game type. At least in my experience, it seems like it.
I agree. I remember when everything was like. Remember when everything was like Minecraft? Everything was a survival game.
Yeah, remember how Xbox Live had the indie store and like everything like or like the indie games that you could download and everything was like a Minecraft ripoff.
I loved those games. Some of those were so cool.
Some of the indie games actually became actual games, and I mean they
Xbox
were
Live
actual games.
Xbox Live Arcade was
but
Castle Crashers, Braid, came out there.
Yeah.
Man, what about you,
Yeah,
Chance?
I mean, kind of going off what like Stryker says, it's yeah, a lot of games right now are in that like open world category because we had Breath of the Wild, and so it's like every other game is like we're gonna do this, but it's like Breath of the Wild, and that's just a matter of innovation of like yeah, here's the cool new thing. All the other games are gonna try it out for themselves. To which like I think for a while looters were kind of that, and if anything that the Suicide Squad game was a little weird because it was like we had all these games that were essentially like looters shooters of that type, and then it stopped. We were now I would say are more in the midst of like okay, we're having all these open world Breath of the Wild-esque games, and then in comes Suicide Squad going, hey, you kids still like looter shooters? And we're all like, what? Wait, what? Again?
Yeah.
Like, if anything, they were kind of late to that fad.
I think that's it, right? Because games just take so long to develop.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it happens. It also just would have helped if they, I don't know, did a good looter shooter. Like,
What if it like wasn't a shooter? What if it wasn't a third-person shooter? That would have.
I mean, that probably would have been for the best because none of their other games were shooters. And when you think of Suicide Squad, I don't necessarily think shooter.
Not at all.
No. There's only like maybe like that you have Deathstroke, even though he doesn't use guns a lot. His whole thing is swords, for the most part.
I mean, Deadshot totally be a shooter guy.
Oh yeah.
And I think like you could do like a quote unquote shooter without it being guns, right? It doesn't have to be guns. And that I think that's like the weirdest part too. Is just like here are all these like literal villains with like superpowers and shit, and it's just like AK-47.
Yeah. It's like you have Captain Boomerang. You can throw shit. I mean, you can fucking
So many cool
get all
things
goofy.
that you
You
can
can
do
get goofy with it. You can have him throw like a sofa and it actually comes back at people.
King
and stuff.
Shark
I
should
don't know.
literally just be the Hulk with teeth, and he wasn't, and that's weird. Like, one thing Avengers did really well, like the game felt great to play for the most
Don't ask
part.
about Spider-Man swing.
It's hard to do Spider-Man swing until you do it right.
Insomniac figure it out.
It's not the best Spider-Man swinging. It's up there, because it depends on what you're looking for in a Spider-Man swing. Like, are you looking for like, are you looking for it to like feel good and like look cool? You're looking for like it to be like mechanically complex. It's like a whole thing.
Here's the thing I do want to ask you. Did you also feel a difference between the Spider-Man 2 swinging compared to what you felt in Spider-Man 1?
It
for
was
PS4?
they did change. I can't remember if they slowed it down or sped it up. I think it's faster.
Yeah, because like it took me a while to get used to it in 2.
I think it's faster. But I also turned off like the swing assist in mine. I turned the swing assist off, and I turned on fall damage.
Yeah.
So that's how I play my span. I live on the edge. But yeah, no,
Good for
I
you.
mean, that was great. We'll see what this goes. We'll maybe talk about video games again. We'll see. Um, but nah, I don't know. I don't know how to do closing. Someone close us.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. This was Mateo, Chunk or Chance, whatever you want to call him. And then it's me, Striker. Next time you see or hear us again, really, that's a more proper thing to say, I guess. Um, we might be talking about unsolved mysteries. Ooh, spooky sound insert and
Maybe we'll
UFOs and
know how to do a fucking podcast.
Maybe.
we might. We're gonna get a book about it. It's the one of those dummy books. It's gonna teach us how to do it because
The Mac-
obviously
The McElroys are gonna teach me how to do a podcast. It's fine.
We're in good hands.
we're in good hands. We got it all figured out. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good time, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna go play RuneScape.
Bye.
Bye.